Hello. Today's video I'm going to be making stuffed peppers with potatoes and corn and my favorite, stuffed mushrooms. So in this video I decided to make them up so you could actually see the picture this time, and I'm actually making 4 of them, so I figured I would make up 2 of them, cook them up, and this way you get to see them completed. Let me cut up one of these stuffed mushrooms and show you just how good they look. They're my favorite. So let's get started. Well, first I'm going to show you how to make the sauce. I use diced tomatoes. I think about a half of a 28-ounce can or so. And what I add in there is fresh cracked pepper, because I love cracked black pepper. So I add that. We'll add a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And let's see, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Give that a mix. I don't cook this or anything. I'm just going to put it on top of the peppers. I use different sauces for my stuffed peppers depending on what mood I'm in, and that's the one I decided to use today. So those are all set. And I'm going to cut up a potato. One of these large potatoes is enough probably for 2 people. And since I don't have any children living at home and I'm just mainly cooking for myself, I usually eat the same dinner for dinner tonight and then lunch or dinner tomorrow. Let me put these over here. And you can just cut this up any way you like. I cut them up in big cubes, but just make sure they're all similar so they cook the same time. And just put them in some water and let those boil until they're done. Okay, and then for the pepper, I just take a pepper and cut it right in half down the middle. Take out all that white stuff and the seeds. If you leave some seeds in there, it's not going to hurt anything. So you should get all this stuff prepped first before you start the actual hamburger, because then your hands are going to get all yucky. So I get everything prepped up first. I'm actually going to grab the bowl, put the peppers in. Okay. Now let's start the hamburger mix. Well, actually I'm going to cut up my jalapeno pepper first. I like to put a little jalapeno in there, give it a little kick, flavor. I like everything a little spicy. So just cut it up nice and small, or however you like it. And what I do is I usually put some grated onion. You just grate it on one of your graters and put it in there. It takes a little bit of time, so I made up some, about a teaspoon. It helps keep the flavor in your hamburger. And what I have here is a ½ pound of hamburger. Let's see. And I'm going to put a large tablespoon of parsley. I love parsley. I have them in these containers. These are my favorite containers, or my favorite seasonings. A teaspoon of salt. A ½ teaspoon of pepper, and let's see, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and I use the powders, not the salt, because this way there's no salt in them. They're just ground up onion and ground up garlic. There's no salt at all in them. Let's see, oh, I forgot to get an egg. Let me grab an egg. We just need 1 egg. And we need 1/8 of a cup of breadcrumbs. You don't want to put too much breadcrumbs. A lot of people put extra breadcrumbs to make it more, but the more breadcrumbs you put in it, the tougher and heavier, and they're not as good, so I don't put a lot of breadcrumbs. This is pretty similar to my meatloaf mix and meatballs and different stuff like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So you turn your oven on 350. They're going to bake for 45 minutes covered in tin foil, and then about 15 minutes uncovered so they get a little crusty on the top. So these look pretty good. You just take a big handful, fill it up, and what I usually have a lot of extra hamburger left over, so I used to just make meatballs out of them and put them in there, and you know, some people don't like the pepper, so they would just eat the meatball. But today what I'm going to do is make stuffed mushrooms with the extra, because I love stuffed mushrooms and I thought that'd be a good idea to use up the extra. Let me just wipe my hands off. Actually, I better wash my hands. Hang on, I'll be right back. I hope you can see everything okay. Okay, let's see. So the stuffed mushrooms, the only difference with the mix is I put some of the stem in there. Cut off the very bottom because it gets a little tough or something. And I just cut them up into little bite-sized chunks, just like you would like a garlic clove or something. And it gives the hamburger like a lot of mushroom flavor. You can put anything you want in here. You could put cheese, you could put any different things that you like to put in there. So we'll throw that in. And then what I usually do is I usually drizzle a little bit of olive oil around the, whoops, I sort of missed, around the skins a little. And, oh, before I finish those, let me show you the sauce on top of the, so we just take this sauce and put it on there. You don't have to cook this sauce in advance because it's going to cook right in the oven with the food. And I like to put a lot down the bottom because we put this over top of our potatoes, which tastes so good. You might not think you'll like tomatoes or tomato sauce on top of your potatoes, but believe me, it's delicious. My mother made it like that with the sauce on. So actually, this is ready to go in the oven. Put that in a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes, and then, like I said, 15 minutes uncovered. So mix in those stem bottoms and then just fill them up. And I just fill them for as much as I can fill in them. And if I have extra, I just make it into a little meatball and throw it in the pan too. But the bigger the better, in my opinion. So, I think that's just about it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me grab the pan. And, oh, and the mushrooms, they cook in the same 350-degree oven. And I let them cook about a half hour, you know, about 25 minutes to 35 minutes, depending on how big they are. But you can tell when they're done when the meat looks done on top and the sides of the mushrooms are cooked. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.